All right, everybody, welcome. Today, we are going to become data detectives. Seriously, we're going to pull back the curtain on a brilliantly designed lesson plan to really understand a concept that's, frankly, hiding in plain sight: statistical variability. Trust me, once you see it, you'll start noticing it everywhere, from sports stats to science news. You ready to unlock the story? Let's do this.
So let's just jump right in with a question. How many hours of homework did you do last night? Just think of your number. Was it 2 hours, maybe 4, maybe 0? Hey, no judgment. Now, picture me asking everyone watching this. Would all of you have the same answer? Of course not, right? We'd get a whole bunch of different numbers. And that messy, beautiful collection of different answers, that's exactly where our investigation starts. You see, that spread of different answers has a name. It's called statistical variability. You can almost think of it as the personality of a set of numbers. It's not just about the average student, it's about the entire story. The students who are up late studying and the ones who are done in an hour. Variability is what makes data interesting. It's the plot twist in our story.
Okay, talking about it is one thing, but let's get our hands dirty. For the first part of our mission, we need to gather some intelligence. We need data, because every single great data story starts with collecting a few numbers.
So the lesson plan starts with a really simple task. Just go ask 10 of your classmates about their weekly homework hours. Now, this is where the lesson gets really smart. Why? Because the second you're dealing with data that comes from your own friends, it stops being abstract numbers on a page. It's personal now. It's about Maria's 5 hours versus David's 2, and suddenly you actually care about the outcome.
Okay, so we've got our list of 10 numbers. What's the very first move for any data detective? Well, we have to find the heart of the data. We're looking for its center. That one number that kind of gives us a quick snapshot of what's typical for the whole group. And to do that, we've got this awesome toolkit called Measures of Center. And you've probably met these guys before. We've got the mean, the good old average. There's the mode, which is just the number that shows up most often. And then there's the median, the one smack dab in the middle. Each of these tools gives us a slightly different clue about where that center is.
Today, let's focus on the median, because it is a seriously powerful tool. All you do is line up your numbers from smallest to largest, and you literally just pick the one in the middle. If you have two middle numbers, no big deal. You just average them out. So what makes the median so cool? Well, it doesn't get fooled by those really high or really low numbers that can sometimes mess up the average. The median is our steady, reliable guide. But hey, remember, the center is only half the story. To really get the whole picture, we need to measure the spread. And our first tool for that is the range. It's super easy. You just take the highest number in your data, subtract the lowest number, and boom, that's your range. It gives you a really quick, at-a-glance idea of how much variety you're actually dealing with.
So, crunching numbers is cool and all, but to really feel the story in the data, you have to see it. This is where the magic happens. We're about to bring in one of my all-time favorite tools for bringing data to life.
I want you to meet the box plot. Now I know, it might look a little weird at first, but trust me, this thing is a statistical powerhouse. In one single simple picture, it shows you both the center and the spread of your data. It is unbelievably efficient, and I don't know, I think it's kind of beautiful.
So what makes a box plot work? It's this thing called the 5-number summary. We actually already know 3 of these numbers: the minimum, the maximum, and the median. We just have to add 2 more. Q1, or the first quartile, which is just the median of the lower half of the data, and Q3, the third quartile, which is the median of the upper half. These 5 numbers are basically the secret code to building our box plot and telling our data story.
Okay, so now that we have Q1 and Q3, we can unlock a new superpowered measure of spread, the Interquartile Range, or just IQR. You just subtract Q1 from Q3. So why is this so powerful? Because it focuses only on the middle 50% of the data. It completely ignores those extreme high and low numbers, which gives us a much more stable and honest look at the data's true variability. It's awesome.
All right, team, you've totally got this. You know how to find the center, you know how to measure the spread, so now it's time for the main event. We're going to put your skills to the ultimate test by comparing 2 different stories to see what truths we can dig up.
So here's our challenge. We're going to compare the heights of 6th graders from 2 different classes, Class A and Class B. We're officially leveling up from just analyzing one group to doing a real comparative analysis. I mean, this is what data analysis is all about in the real world.
Okay, look closely at this data. This is where it gets so interesting. Check out the mean and the median for both classes. They're pretty much identical, 58 inches.
Now, if you were only looking at the average, you might say, these classes are basically the same. But if you stopped there, you would miss the entire story. The real truth is hiding somewhere else.
Now look what happens when we look at the spread. Whoa! A completely different story just pops out. Class A is really tightly clustered together, a small range, a small IQR. But Class B, their heights are all over the place. The range is almost double, and the IQR is double. This is the big reveal. The average height might be the same, but the variety of heights in Class B is way, way bigger.
So, what's our final report as data detectives? What's our conclusion? We can say with a ton of confidence that the students in Class A are all very similar in height, but in Class B, you've got a much wider mix of shorter and taller students. You see? The data tells a really clear story. One class is about consistency, and the other is all about diversity.
This is all really fascinating stuff, but it all leads up to the biggest question of all. So what, right? Why does any of this matter outside of a classroom? Let's bring this all home and see why variability is one of the most important ideas you'll ever learn.
This question really gets to the heart of everything we've talked about. Why bother looking at both? Because the average gives you the headline, but the variability, that gives you the whole story. Think about it. A doctor needs to know the average effect of a new medicine, sure, but they also really need to know about the variability, the patients who had a huge positive reaction, and the patients for whom it did nothing. Understanding that spread can literally be a matter of life and death.
So let's lock in these big ideas. Number 1, variability is simply the story of how things are different. Number 2, the center gives you a quick summary, but the spread tells you how much you can actually rely on that summary. And finally, visuals like box plots are your secret weapon for making complicated data stories simple enough for anyone to understand.
And I'll leave you with a challenge. You now have the tools of a data detective. So, what story are you gonna uncover? What question about your school, your community, or something you're passionate about can you now answer using data? The power to find and tell these incredible stories, it's in your hands now. So go out there and be curious.